Thank you. Let's now have this last question now from a personal level, Professor.
Yeah.
And again, thank you very much for giving us a star. You brought us a star, and we are really proud of Lupita Nyong'o. There is your brother. Many Kenyans, especially who are young, don't really understand what really happened back in 1980s. Did you lose a brother, and up to now you have not actually found where he is or where he's buried as we speak right today?
It was in July 1980, actually.
1980.
July 1980. We are having problems at the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
We had a demonstration against British sale of arms to South Africa, to the apartheid regime. That demonstration was also in solidarity with progressive forces in Guyana, where Professor Walter Rodney had been assassinated. So we were holding a demonstration to condemn the government of Forbes Barnum in Guyana, which had assassinated Professor Walter Rodney, who was a very progressive historian and Pan-Africanist, who had wrote this book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, a very revolutionary and eye-opening book that became an eye-opener to young people wanting to know the history of Africa and the role of imperialism and the origin of Africa's underdevelopment. So Rodney was teaching in Dar es Salaam, then he went back to his mother country, Guyana, really to say, look, I want to also cause change in my own country, when he was suddenly firebombed. Not firebombed, letter bombed in Guyana. So we decided to organize a demonstration at the University Staff Union. That demonstration was organized by the late George Mukangi, the late Mukarunganga, myself, and I would say some other progressives that were working with Dr. Wangombe and others at the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta University. Now, what happened was that in those days, the special branch then used to infiltrate demonstrations, and they would bring in hooligans who would throw stones, and then the university would be blamed. In that particular demonstration, we really organized it well, and we had marshals, and we made sure that we marched through town and went up to what is now Commercial Ground, and we held a very successful rally there, condemning the then Moi regime for continuing the footsteps of Kenyatta and continuing the repression and all that. So the next day, this demonstration was on Thursday. The next day, Friday, the Daily Nation wrote a very good editorial on that demonstration, saying for the first time the university has had a very successful demonstration. They had a rally which was successful. They talked very civilly about imperialism, and people should listen from what the university is saying. There's no need condemning all the time that these are Marxists and so on. Okay, that was the line that people like Ng'weno always took, condemning and to being Marxists. There's nothing wrong about being Marxist, but Ng'weno thought otherwise. Anyway, so on Saturday, when I was working in my office in Nairobi, a guy called Peter, what is his name? Peter somebody. Peter Gachathi or Peter, I can't remember. He was working with the then Kenya Times, which was a Sunday newspaper, big, broad like this. So Peter called me in my office and asked me, we are here that you people are plotting to overthrow the government. I said, no. But apparently the demonstration the other day was organized just to begin the movement to overthrow the government. I don't know, there's nothing like that. If there's something like that, personally, I'm not aware of it. So anyway, the next day on Sunday, there was a big headline in Sunday Times. It was well called Nairobi Times. University lecturer denies plot charge. Because you know that headline is very, very catchy. Sure. University lecturer denies plot charge. Which means that University lecturer knows there's a charge, there's a plot, but he's denying it. Mm-hmm. So of course, the next day early in the morning, about 5, these special branch people came and picked me up, went and locked me up and followed questioning, and then the students decided to go on strike. if I was not released. So they went on strike. There was nothing going on in the university. I was in this police interrogation for 3 days. They couldn't go back. So the police realized that they had to release me. Otherwise, nothing would go on the university. So finally, they released me. I went back to university, started teaching. And in the meantime, they went and picked up this guy, Peter. I don't know his other name. His other name now escapes me. They went to pick it up to go and tell his side of the story. So he went and told his side of the story. After he was gone, come Thursday, these people came and picked me up again. The moment they picked me, the students went on strike. So I think they decided that to divert my attention from being around, they had to disappear with my brother in Mombasa, who looks exactly like me. He was 10 years younger than me. So then I had to go to Mombasa and start looking for my brother, which took 3 weeks. We never got him. So came back to Nairobi.
What was he doing in Mombasa?
He was working with ESO. He was the supplies manager for ESO.
Supplies manager, I mean, was he also doing some demonstration? Was he
No. He was just a professional.
He never participated in any.
No, when he was in the university, he used to be active in student politics. But once he joined ESO, he was an ESO employee.
Continue, Professor.
So anyway, so we looked for his body. We could never find him. But what made me stop is that one day, it was a very grueling exercise because I used to go to mortuaries, look at dead bodies. The man at the port, a certain Mr. Chanda, who was commanding the port police, was very useful. He even managed to organize some British divers, very experienced army people, to dive, because my brother was, they alleged that my brother was pushed off the ferry, that ferry.
Yeah, the Coney, yes.
The Coney ferry. So they looked at that channel up and down. In the end, they told me, no, we don't think he was pushed off the ferry. Because if he was, we know the geography of this area. By this day, the body should have surfaced in this place. So, because bodies, they knew how bodies surface after they've been down there for some time. And they said no. And in that corridor, there were no sharks. So it's if he was really pushed from the ferry, then we could have recovered the body. But his car was found on the ferry, allegedly, and taken to the police station. His car was at the police station when I was there. So one evening, when I was, after a long day of search, I was sitting at Castle Hotel, Castle Hotel on Mamagina Street, at about 5, and I was having my beer at the counter. And then at one point, I left the counter to go to the washroom. I came back, continued taking my beer, and all of a sudden I started feeling kizungu, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I said, no, somebody must have poisoned me. So I rushed to the car, drove the car to the home where I was staying. I puked like nobody's business. And then I started sweating. So I was staying with Jared Angira Otieno, and his wife Jane was a nurse. So Jane came and gave me some drugs, which sent me to sleep. And while I was asleep, I think they called a doctor, which came and gave me some injections. I didn't know. So finally, that was about 6. Finally, I woke up at midnight. Then they told me what happened, and we talked. And then Jared said, no, my friend, this is too dangerous. If you stay around, these people may also kill you, so go back to Nairobi. So I left, went back to Nairobi. That's how I gave up the search. Several years later, in 1989, I think, 88, 89, my parents wanted to put a closure to this thing. After so long, you want to do something cultural to forget it. So they told me I should make one last effort to find out what happened. So I went and engaged Mr. Khan, who used to be a police officer. During those days, in fact, one of those people interviewed me. I was teaching his son at USIU. I was teaching Asif Khan, his son. So Asif told me that his father was having a private eye investigation agency, their office on top of Woolworths. I went and saw Khan. He told me, okay, I know the story. Let me see if we can do it. After about 2 or 3 weeks, he called me and said, my friend, you just forget this thing, because essentially this thing would mean that you get Attorney General to institute an inquiry. And the people who are involved, if they hear that the Attorney General is instituting an inquiry, should he agree, you'll be in trouble. So you better leave this thing. So I left. So my wife's uncle was teaching with Patrick Shaw at Starehe. You know Patrick Shaw, the latest.
Yes.
Good. So he told me, look, why don't we go and talk to Patrick Shaw? Patrick Shaw would help. So he introduced me to Patrick Shaw. I went to see Patrick Shaw. One day, Patrick Shaw took me to the football field in Starehe. Then he parked his Volvo on the touchline. And he told her, let's go. I went to the middle of the field. So he told me, let's talk here. So I said, why do we have to talk here? I said, this is the safest place, because anywhere I may be hard. With my car there, it's monitoring any movement of any kind of vehicle that may be eavesdropping, so let's talk. So I explained him what happened, we talked, then he told me, look, I'm only going to repeat what Khan told you. I know the case. If I were you, better you are alive, because your brother is going anyway. So I went and told my parents, so we gave it up. So that is the story.